I've actually just realised as we've pulled out of the hotel that I've got this sort of fear of having an F1 driver in the passenger seat, maybe monitoring my driving.
It never would happen.
Wouldn't it?
It's just we have a section of our brain that we do actually monitor.
When you drive on the road, though, having been an F1 driver, the pinnacle of motor racing, do you drive like in a real chilled out, easy listening way?
No, we're pretty chilled out, mate. Obviously, we see scenarios building, don't we? But so it's all pretty slow motion, as it should be. But on the street, there's a lot more obstacles, right? So we're probably more petrified of.
There's more stuff you can't control,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. Street furniture.
Then a dentist from Reading coming the other way that might fall asleep. You never know.
So what's weird is I wasn't expecting to carpool Mark this morning. That wasn't part of the plan.
This was not part of the plan, mate. You're right.
It's a happy accident.
I have.
feel.
Yeah, I'm stoked with it, mate. I'm absolutely stoked.
But I in the first video that we made of the Taycan, when we were allowed to drive it, but it was still kind of fully clothed, weren't allowed to look at the dash, weren't allowed to talk about how it feels in corners. That's why we're here driving the car on the street for the first time. We're in Gothenburg and we're driving today to Copenhagen in Denmark. But you've driven this car before I did. You were the first person.
One of, definitely.
So when did you drive it for the first time?
A couple of years ago.
Wow, quite a long time ago.
Really early, yeah, really early. But every time I've driven this car, it's been on the racing track. I've never driven it on the street like we are. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So yesterday was the first time we drove it on the street?
Yep, definitely was the first time. And what I love about the Porsche technicians, whenever I have turned up for a test drive in the car, there's no briefing on taking it easy. Mm-hmm. It's like, just thrash it. So racetrack, racing driver, in their head, it's got to be driven like that.
Yeah. So they were actively encouraging you to punish it if you wanted to?
Absolutely,
Okay.
which I did.
So,
it's been a tremendous journey for them. There's no question about that. As you know, it's the first time that Porsche have ever entertained anything like this.
Yeah.
And here we are, and we're all extremely proud of it. And mate, to be honest, I'm more excited about showing this car off to probably a bigger, wider genre of people, like family and friends, more than my racing aficionados, my buddies. They're like, oh, can you take me for on the GT3 RS?
Yeah.
You know, but the amount of questions I'm getting asked about this car is extraordinary.
Really?
And people want it, and I'm looking forward to showing it off to them because there's a lot of.
What is it? Is it just curiosity of this new?
I think it is.
era?
Yeah. People are curious.
Yeah.
And they are. I think frustratingly curious, aren't they? They're not quite sure if they want to accept it or not because they don't know. Naivety is bliss, isn't it? They've got no idea.
I think some people are viewing it as witchcraft.
Yep.
And hardcore car fanatics, of which there are a lot who love the brand of Porsche. I think they're the ones that can't decide whether it's a positive thing or not, or whether it will signal the death of the stuff that they love. Will that mean no more 911 GT3s or whatever?
I very much doubt that. Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about your first EV experience.
Full EV experience was this car. I have not driven any other street car at all.
Okay.
Electric was with the 918 and the 919 obviously with the supercar, the speedster with the 918 and then the 919 with the race car, both with tremendous amount of electrical horsepower.
And we now know that the DNA of those cars and the engineers in those cars were working on this.
Absolutely, so especially the 800 volt battery, which was very, very successful in the 919. And you think about that, Johnny, that was 2011.
Was that long
that
ago?
Concept was thought out.
Yeah, so people that doubt whether race car technology ever reaches the real world, take note. The 919 Le Mans car actually had the technology bubbling away back then, 2013.
perfect timing.
Yeah.
Like, all the regeneration. There's, there is definitely, facets of driving on the street that there's no real link to driving on the racetrack. But there is columns where it absolutely is going to fast track. There's a lot of software. There's a lot of systems where at the end of the day, it doesn't know if it's Jonny pressing the brake pedal at a certain pressure, or my mum, or Lewis Hamilton, whatever. That system or that feel is still going to be something you want to be able to improve or do better with, and have that user experience dealt with in a really, really cool way. And you can't unlearn that what you do on the racetrack. So there is parts that were really rewarding for the production car guys to then cross over and talk to. And I don't think the communication has ever been better from motorsport to some of the DNA from both projects, which was great.
Did you have to kind of relearn or adjust your racing techniques when you started driving an electrified car? It wasn't full EV, I know, but it was...
Yeah, it was a hybrid. The 919 was hybrid. Yes, only by regulation. I mean, because you've only got a certain amount of fuel to use, you've only got a certain amount of battery power or electric power you got, so then you have to drive with the engineers, work out a way how you're going to skin the cat with your downforce level, because obviously if you run more downforce, you're on the straights for a longer period of time. If you trim the downforce out, the straights are over quicker, but that means you brake earlier, so you're going to recoup more energy. So you've got all these scenarios.
Did the
going
regen
to the
feel
pot.
weird when you first started experiencing regen?
Yes, I think that. I mean, we would have a button on the wheel which you could sort of manually top the battery up. Against the full throttle, so you'd actually be manually topping it up.
Oh, okay.
The car was extremely clever. Obviously, it knew where it was on the track, so it was automatically, all the software was set up so we could distribute power and then recoup in the most efficient areas. Obviously, it was very challenging when it started to rain. So imagine the track is wet in one section, dry in another, on a different tyre. That played havoc with the SOC, which is a state of charge, because then it would start to run away on you and the battery would be too high on SOC. So that was a challenge for us. So there was lots of things which we had to learn and go through, which in sim world and in computer world and in nerd world doesn't work. On the racetrack, you've actually got to get in the trenches and go.
Most of the Porsche people that I've spoken to, the engineers and the PR people, have openly said what Tesla has achieved in a short space of time is fantastic. It is deeply impressive, and I think
need competition. Everyone needs competition.
You need competition, and there's no doubt accelerated the development of this car that we're in. However,
we want to do better.
You want to do better, and also the thing about a Porsche is, obviously, a Porsche is what they call a legacy manufacturer, isn't it? For decades, you've been building cars which go around corners well, have a 365-day drivability for a sports car, and also amazing reliability and build quality. Tesla is, I guess, a tech company first and foremost that's learning how to build cars, mass-produce cars successfully.
Yes.
And it's finding its feet of like, how do you make 100,000 dashboards with the right tolerances?
Yes.
And that's the bit Tesla's learning, or trying to learn, and the bit that Porsche and Audi and...
Bread and butter, we've got that covered.
Yeah, they're like, we know how to do dashes and seats. The batteries, the high voltage is the bit we're still finding our feet with. And so you guys are over there, Tesla's over there, and you're moving into the ring. And it's an exciting time, actually. And
the customer's the winner.
The customer's totally the winner, because, some of these cars, and probably not this one, but some of the lower cost cars like Volkswagen's ID3 and some of the other lower end are almost certainly lost leaders for a certain amount of time. They just want to get a good product out there, sell it for a year, and then start making money.
So,
but you still do loads of travelling, like you were saying.
Yeah, I do a lot. Yep, Singapore Grand Prix this week. And a bit of TV work, a lot of work with Porsche, which is great. I do a bit of work still with Red Bull and with Rolex and bits and bobs. So it's great. I've been so lucky after my career to continue to work with great people and learn, mate. Every day's a school day, isn't it?
I think so.
So I've been lucky with that. So, and this project's been phenomenal for us. Like, there's been so much gone into it, and the team have been great in including me in certain parts of the development here and there. And I mean, clearly they've got so many good people, and I'm just playing such a dinky little role, but they've constantly reinforcing to me, Mark, give us the tough medicine.
Yeah.
Give us the warts and all of what you're feeling. In the early days, that was very much the case. So, the car is unrecognisable from the early years.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you first got
From
in
the
the
tech side,
Mission E, as was,
Yeah.
how did it feel when you first drove a mule?
It was a mule. It felt, and it was, because then, even the lifing on certain componentries, they were still, trying to get through. They generally gave me the latest and greatest at that time. There was certainly other cars in the background doing more sort of systems and really donkey work, and the car just gets so superseded so fast with the different tech that comes through, and you want to be exposed to that as a test driver to make sure you can give them the up-to-date information, because then there's a lot of ambiguity or noise in your feedback on, if you haven't driven the latest stuff, then they're like, well, what if Mark did drive the latest if you're 2 months, 3 months behind?
Yeah.
So you have to be in the latest gear. I did a lot of kilometres in it yesterday and just went.
I was going to tell me about you driving it yesterday, because that was you on your own.
Yeah,
no
I was.
cameras,
That's right.
no
I drove,
journalists.
over 300k yesterday.
You had a bit of Australian radio on, just to remind yourself of the homeland.
That was bizarre. Flicking through different countries and radios. My highlight yesterday, Johnny, was it was around school time. So we left Oslo around 9 o'clock, and we headed down to Gothenburg down here. But around school time, sort of 3 or 4 o'clock, there was some school buses around and bits and bobs, and I saw a young lad with a big backpack on, walking to his farm. It was probably a 300 or 400 metre walk for him. He was strolling along the side of the road, middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I thought that was great in itself. I really love seeing that. But then, for whatever reason, the timing was just absolutely legendary. I was sort of coming towards him, and he was off on a sort of, again, infrastructure's amazing, so that the footpath, he was just doing his thing, and he just went like
proper jaw drop.
Highlight, just like he's 12.
Yeah.
And he's like, first time he's ever seen this car, first time that I've had that reaction with, or it was the first time being on the street with it, but it's like, and what an age gap, like in terms of,
it's one of the most influential ages, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that was great to see.
And he obviously,
the styling,
you were on your own, so the car was on its own, so he got to hear that it was electric.
Of course, we're in the middle of, we're just.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. That was the thing. Like, he sort of looked around and like, it wasn't like he'd turn into an acoustic thing. He was sort of like, Well, while I was driving, and also I don't even know if the aircon. So I had a panel come up here, because I think the air conditioning can be
backed off.
Yeah, there's lots of things where you can start to win a little bit of range. So,
that's right. Well, I think I've just nudged it into range mode.
Yeah.
And
it's giving you 110 max now, so see that. So it doesn't want you to go to 110k.
Yeah. So,
I mean, this is super efficient mode. Like, not that we don't need to be doing this.
It's not a very Porsche mode in many ways, but it's there.
We've got plenty of charging points today.
Where are we at with EVs? Do people just want more and more range, or do people want faster replenishing capability? Because obviously the more range you go, yes, the battery density will increase and it will get better, but
fascinating topic, because it's like, well, we're just going to build a car that has, most people will not sit in a car for 5 or 6 hours straight.
Yeah.
So if you've got range that's 1,000 kilometre range, which some cars do. To my point, my father's Land Cruiser in Australia could do well over 1,000k.
Could it?
Yeah.
So you've got a long range tank on that.
Yeah. So, but
you're carrying all that weight.
Of course. Yeah. Sort of a light car.
So he's made a decision to go. I'm going to put 100 odd.
Because he might,
meters in.
which back then we were doing tremendously long trips.
Yeah.
But the amount of times we needed that type of range was hardly ever. Or you'd always going to stop for a Kit Kat or stop for something where you want to actually have a bit of a break.
Absolutely.
And get out and posturally just sort of move yourself and have a different position.
Where do you sit then with the need to charge, and charging not being the same as refueling a piston car?
I think what's interesting is that if you're, let's say we are refueling a 90-litre tank, for example.
Yeah.
That's going to take you, by the time you pulled off, got into the petrol station, put it in, which of course, so that's still bang for buck, exactly what you need to do in an electric car, so the competition hasn't started then. The competition does start when you start putting fuel in the car, when you start charging your car.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's going to take 5 or 6 minutes by the time you've gone in, done all your things, paid, and come back out. So people have this thing in their mind that they're going to fuel their car in no time at all.
Yeah.
Yes, it's faster than charging your car, 100%. It still is faster, but it's not taking 30 seconds. Like in some people's minds, it is.
Yeah.
So,
Like a pit stop.
yeah, there is still 5 or 6 minutes on the table there to refuel a big chunk of fuel.
Uh-huh.
What's fascinating with this, obviously, and that is where the arms race will be fascinating going forward, won't it, in terms of charging speed and power. So if you're looking at this car between 4 or 5 minutes for 100 kilometres or 5 minutes for 60 miles,
Yeah.
that's pretty quick. If you're
Yeah.
going to get 120 miles for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
okay, I've been there 4 minutes longer than a fuel stop.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't filled the tank up.
Yeah.
Because I can still put more in. So yes, it's still slower, but to your point, where's the range number? How big are the legs?
Yeah.
We want to keep the performance super, super high.
Yeah.
But of course, the charging time is something which is, in society, is going to be something that is going to be still in their mind a burden.
Yeah.
And that'll be where the contest will probably be.
What are your favourite parts of the Taycan? What elements have impressed you, either physically or the feel, or?
I love the look of the front. The styling of the front is. We've stayed so close to the Mission E-car, which is not easy to do when you set out like obviously a concept-y sort of studio feel and look on that on the outside. So
I really like it.
Michael Mayer and his team have done a great job there. So externally, I'm very happy with that. The head-on shot is absolutely gorgeous. The aggressive low bonnet, like we talk about, the wide shoulders and then narrow cabin. Nailed that.
That's Porsche DNA right there. Yeah.
Right through. Inside, I'm very, very happy with the seating position in terms of ergonomically. It works very, very well. We've got a little bit of borderline 918 sort of high wheel arch.
Yeah, you do. Right, we need a nice, big, fat, rapid charger, which I believe is somewhere around here.
Yeah.
You know what they look like, because you charged your car yesterday, right?
Go right around the edge of this.
Go around the edge of here. We don't need fuel, thank you. Not today. Oh, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
The clue is that there's a couple of other Taycans there.
Here.
So many Taycans.
On a road trip. Yeah, all Taycans.
Yeah. Do you want me to straighten it up? Yeah. She's basically, what she's saying is you've parked it like a complete flute. And rightly so.
Yeah, if you could park it any worse, you just did it.
The look of polite
she's like,
disgust on her face.
Yeah. Don't slip off the brake, broken legs. Mate, it's been a pleasure.
Mark,
good on you.
It's been really good. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Go on the configurator.
I will.
Tell me
check
how
that
you
out.
would spec it.
Yeah, all right.